All right, we are live and welcome everyone. Good to have you here. Today on this live stream, we are going to talk about how to set up an autoresponder. And why is that important? Well, it allows you to communicate with your audience, with the list of people, with the people that you have on your list. And it allows you to communicate in a powerful way, in an easy way, and it allows you to communicate in an automated way, meaning you can continue to communicate when you sleep, when you go on vacation, when you're sick, whatever. So stay with me to the end of this, and you will not only learn how to set up your autoresponder, but at the very end, I'm going to give you a way where you can get started with this particular autoresponder that I use for free. Have a free trial. Okay? All right, very good. I'm Daryl Ballard, and if we haven't met, if we have, it's so good to have you back. Welcome everyone. If you're watching this later on YouTube, I'm so glad you are joining us then as well. So on this channel, we usually talk about how to have a highly profitable YouTube channel. And we do that so that we can have the freedom to live life on our own terms. Do you want to live life on your own terms? Of course you do. So why are we talking about an autoresponder? Well, to monetize, to make that YouTube channel highly profitable, especially early on in your channel before you have those 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, you have to be a little more creative in your monetization. You have to come up with some different streams of income than your actual YouTube channel. And you can very easily use the YouTube channel to do that. So that's what we're going over here. One of the tools that you will need is an autoresponder to communicate with the list of people that you're generating with your YouTube channel. Now, if you're using something different than the tool that I'm using, please continue watching because they're all very similar. I'm sure you'll have most of the steps you need to set up whatever autoresponder that you're using. Okay, so I'm going to jump right into the tutorial here. I want to make sure we had a problem yesterday getting the tutorial portion on there. So I will at one point make sure that that you're seeing what I'm doing. This is to replace that one that didn't make it yesterday. I assume when the investigation is done, it will be determined to be operator error. We're not going to make those mistakes today. All right, so let's jump right into the tutorial. Here is the first page. I've just signed in, but this is the first page that you come to of my autoresponder. This is actually GetResponse, which is my favorite. If you did not see the video where I talked about why I chose GetResponse, I'll not only put a card at the end so that you can find it there, but I'll also put it down in the links below so that you can find that video to figure out why you might want to use GetResponse as well. Okay, so this is the first page we come to. Let me check and make sure. Okay, good. It looks like that's coming through. All right. So the first thing I want to mention is how you can check your lists and how you can get reports to make sure that your emails are working well. So right up here at the top, right in the middle, you can see, in fact, your lists come up first thing. But if you click on lists, you can get more detailed information. You can click on each of these and see who's on your list, uh, etc., where they are in the process, if you've got something automated going on. And you can look at reports here. So you can compare two messages. You can look at all of your messages. If you click here, you can see all of the messages that I have, and it will give you a detailed report here. Okay. For instance, if I click on this one, it will show me my report on that one, right? and it gives you how many people have opened and clicked. This is an old message that I don't use anymore that did not work well, obviously, but you can get your details on your messages here. Okay, now let's talk about second thing we're going to look at here is how to make an email, how you design one. And in GetResponse, it's called a newsletter, but that can be something that looks like a newsletter, but it can also be just your typical um, email. And in fact, that's what we're going to show you how to design here is just your typical email. I'm going to click on create a newsletter. And we're going to use the drag and drop method. We're going to make this very simple. Okay. And we need to choose a list. We're going to choose this one here. We need to name the message. Now this name is just for your, uh, nobody's going to see this. This is just for you. Okay. Let's just call it message. I'm just going to use a high number to get it out of the ones that I've done before in this area. And trying to find quickly a message here in my word processing document because we need a subject line. This is just a message I did in the past. This is what you'll do. You'll have your message written up, and then you'll just be able to copy and paste things in here. Okay, so this is my subject, and this, of course, is not a course on coming up with subjects that get people to open. And then we need to choose, I'm going to use, instead of my personal, I'm going to use my business email there. And we go on to the next step. All right, now we have all of these different templates that we can use. I'm just, like I said, going to do a very simple newsletter here. We're going to start from scratch and we're going to use a blank template. And then it's just a matter of dragging and dropping things in. We want some, let's put an image on top. Okay, so we're going to choose an image. Now this needs to be an image that you already have in your system. So choose your images beforehand. I'm just going to use this one here. But if you need to add an image, you can add files right up here. Okay, we'll use that one. There we go. You can, I actually like the size of that, I think, but you can resize it. Then once you do resize it, if you're doing it on the computer, at least I have trouble doing this um, on my mobile devices. You can use this on mobile devices, but you can change the size of the box just by moving the arrows around. Okay, I'm going to go back to the image filling up the box pretty well there. All right, so we've got our image. Let's put some text in here now. And of course you can do image and text so that it surrounds it if you want to do that. Okay, there's our text box. I'm just going to highlight that because we're going to paste in our newsletter information here. Down to there. Copy that and paste it in here. Actually, I just want a reading at the first. Okay, and there's our text in there. So we've pretty much set up our email here. Now, if you, and of course you will, want to put some uh, links in there. My links have copied over, but I can highlight some text here and click on this. Already has a link, but it'll look like that without the X through it. Click on that, and you can paste your link in there. Okay. And the one thing that I've done here, which I really like, I like to put my contact information and my disclaimer at the bottom. Again, you can paste in your links to your YouTube channel, your Facebook group, whatever you want to use there. Okay. Now, the next step, click on plain text here and do HTML to plain text. This is not excuse me, not only make it more readable for those who have older browsers and that sort of thing, but it will also help with your spam. So just HTML to plain text and then wrap the long lines. Okay, close that up. And then we can come up here to test message and we can look at our spam score. And if it's less than 5, it's supposed to be good. Ours is less than 0, minus zero point 0.1. Okay, so not as likely to appear in somebody's junk box. It can depend on their settings, of course, too. And then we can send a test message if we want to. Say I want to send that to my personal address. I can change that here and then send a message. I'm not going to do that because this isn't going to be a real message that I will send. And you can also look at it on mobile and see what it looks like, both in portrait mode and in landscape. Okay, scroll through it, make sure everything looks good. All right, so let's say we like the way everything looks there. You, of course, would spend a little more time checking over this, but we don't need to show that process. Now you can save this as a draft, or you can go on to the next step if you want to send it out to your list, your entire list or a portion of them, that sort of thing. So let's go ahead and show that. Very often you'll probably want to save it as a draft, but let's go ahead and show it if you wanted to send this out to your list. And let's just choose my largest lists here to broadcast this to. It puts those in. We go on to the next step. And here we can, I usually do, turn on perfect timing. This to your list, what's the best time for them to send it, or at least what it's determined. And then you can either schedule that or send that. Okay, that's all there is to it. Just going to exit here and not save that. Okay, so that's designing an email to send to your list. And let's look at one more thing, because that was just a single email, but we want to talk about a sequence of email. So that's where automation comes in. So we're going to click on automation, and you can see I've got a bunch of automations here. We're going to actually, it's called creating a workflow. We're actually going to create a workflow here. And I always build mine from scratch. You can experiment with this during your 14-day free trial if you want and see how some of those others work if you want to use them. I'm just going to call this test. And we're going to put the way we want to get people into our sequence here, our workflow, is by them subscribing to whatever list we choose. So we're going to click on subscribe here and then just highlight that, and then you can choose how they get in there. We don't want them to come from just any list that we have. We want them to come from a specific list, or at least that's what I'm saying we want here. You can have them come from any list if that it works best for you. And let's say we want them to come from this list right here. And how do we want them to get there? We have connected this to our landing page, or however it is we're getting them in there, by an API code. And so we're going to put API there. All right. So we've got that set up, how they get into our list. Now let's go ahead and send a message. So we just drag a message up here. And we need to connect to. Okay, now as soon as someone subscribes to that list, they will then be sent this message immediately, the way we have it set up here. And how do we set up what we want that message to say? We may have designed some automations. In other words, we may have one from another sequence that we have already set up. We can just put that in here if we want to send the same message that we've sent in another sequence. If we've got a newsletter, the reason I mentioned saving a draft is because if you're making up new emails to send in this sequence, you may have saved it in a draft. So let's just click on draft here, and then it'll bring up all of the messages that I have saved in drafts. See, I've got a whole bunch of them here. And we can just choose one. That message that I didn't save, they saved as a draft, and so we could put that in there. All right? Now, it's going to make it then into an automation. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to delete that later. But you can see if I hit apply, it would put that message in there. All right, now we want to send them another message. We want to add another element, but we don't want it to go out immediately along with this one. We want to wait for, let's say, a day, which is the default. Now, if we wanted to change that to some other, and later on you won't want to be sending them a message every single day, but you can, by clicking on that, you can choose to send it in 4 days or whatever. Okay, so then it says wait 4 days. All right, now let's say we want to send them another message. And of course, again, you have to choose. With this highlighted, you have to go up here and choose what message it is you want to send to them. I'm not going to worry about that right now. You know how to do that. Now, let's say this time we want a choice here. We want to do 2 different things depending on whether they open the message or not. And you see special occasion here. Let's say it's a certain time of the year, you might want to send them a special message. There's lots of different choices that you can have, but we're going to say whether they open the message up or not and link that together. And then now we'll add a message for if they did open it. And we'll add a message if they didn't open it. Okay, so I think you get the idea. You can set up a sequence of 30 days, 60 days, 90 days very easily here. And then you could move them to your regular big list where you broadcast to everyone after that. When you get done, when you're satisfied with this, or actually even before, you can just save it, save and exit. When you get done with this to your satisfaction, you can save and publish it. After you've saved and published it, you can still come back and edit it if you want to do that. Okay, so that's how you can set up a very powerful sequence that can be running out to your list, your subscribers, your audience, can be running out to them while you sleep or while you're at work, if you're doing this while you're still working, as many of us are. Okay, I hope that's been helpful. Um, if you do like what you've seen here and want to try GetResponse, the very first link below is how you can get a 14-day free trial. So in the description below this live stream or video, if you're watching it later, you can click on that link and get a 14-day free trial. I also want to mention, if you're looking how to develop that highly profitable YouTube channel that gets you the freedom that you want so that you can live life on your terms, the second link below this video is for my 35-minute free master course on, wait for it, the very creative title, the highly profitable YouTube channel. All right, I think you'll find that really helpful if that's what you're looking to do. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let me just take a quick look here and see. Okay, don't see any comments there. Don't have anything to answer. I'm Daryl Ballard, and we will see you next time.